Hello, welcome back to our studio here at COP29. My name is Anastasia Lavrina. I have a very special guest. Joining me now is Victor Hugo Ventura, Minister of Energy and Mines of Guatemala. Warm welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Thank you for this time.
Thank you so much. Could you please tell us why participation at COP29 is important for your country and what are your expectations?
Well, it's very important for my country because Guatemala is one of the 10 countries that suffer the major impact of climate change. That's the main reason. And we all expect that in this specific conference, they will approve many new, very good news for financing, for finance that topic of climate change and also for finding the transition of energy. In our case, I am the Ministry of Energy and Mines, and we are working very hard with that clean transition of energy. And for example, we have a big challenges, not only to change the matrix of energy and just to look for a bigger place of the renewable, but also there are many topics, for example, in the case of the universal access of electricity. Because in our country, about 2 million people doesn't have the access to electricity. So we are discussing, for example, very important topics like mini network or small grids, autonomous grids, just for the get some other alternatives for the population to have and to develop his own energy solutions. And for example, we can think about 1, 2, or 3 million houses using solar energy in Guatemala. So there is a big opportunities for the climate change in the case of energy.
You know, you raised a very important issue. How you think the developed countries should support less developed and developing countries when it comes to financial issues and climate change? How exactly it should happen?
Yes, that's the main issue is financing, and not only financing for the big, also for the medium and for the small. That's the reason because we are considering new possible of schemes for get the money for develop small projects of energy. For example, in case of energy efficiency, there are a lot of possibilities and a lot of opportunities for energy solutions that also will reduce the greenhouse gas emissions.
Mr. Minister, how do Guatemala balance its energy efficiency needs and the green energy transition?
Well, Guatemala has changed his matrix, and now, for example, in the case of electricity, about 60 to 70% of all the power generation is produced by a green solution, by hydroelectric, by biomass, modern biomass, and also small aeolic, geothermal, and solar. We have in our goals just to reach the goal of 80% of renewable. And also we are working in case of make substitution, for example, substitution in transportation. That's the reason because we are supporting the case of electromobility and also try to promote very big project of transportation of people and also transportation of church.
Indeed. Mr. Minister, you know the countries are trying to reach a consensus here at COP29, but unfortunately the geopolitical division among member states prevents them to achieve the result in some basic needs. How do you see the geopolitical perspectives of this cooperation, not only within COP29, but after the conference?
Well, maybe I think that in the case of the cooperation, many times that is captured only in a specific business. For example, in the big business, we consider that we must work having a more related cooperation with the social problems and social issues of our society, and that one of the main reasons to be in this topic and discussing the case of fair or just transition. That is mainly the best reason for being here and for discussing of our future.
And my last question, if I may, where Guatemala sees itself in the future global agenda within the next 12 months prior COP30, which will take place in Brazil?
Well, Guatemala, it's in this agenda maybe is considered representing a country of medium and low development countries, and also a country with a specific problem related with its location. Remember, Guatemala is maybe between the north of the south in America, and just Guatemala is, for example, the border of a very big economic country composed by Mexico, Canada, and United States. So in Guatemala, you can get and you can see in a country where all the forces of migration just confluent in only one border, that is Guatemala con Mexico, and there are a lot of problems associated with them. We consider with a better condition, better access to energy, we can create a lot of jobs, and we can also move to the people to a better life.
So it seems that the changes in the climate change policy of superpowers also affect the small countries and their policy.
Of course, Guatemala and Central America are the best example. In the past was just the land where we confronted the east to the west, and now we are one of the places where you have confrontation between the north and the south. That's the big challenge of Guatemala.
Well, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for joining our discussion today.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.